The entertainment industry is in free fall, and we should talk about it. For nearly a century, Hollywood, Broadway, and the broader arts community ran on a fragile middle class. Working actors, writers, crew, designers, people who didn't get rich, but who got by. And they contributed to one of the greatest sources of national identity and revenue. That system is now fragmenting in real time. Fewer orders, shorter contracts, shrinking budgets. A pipeline that used to sustain thousands is tightening into a sieve, and the numbers don't look good. Only a small handful of network shows are expected to debut in 2026. Roughly a few hundred projects are even filming across the United States. And those who can get work are classified at the lowest possible tier. Meanwhile, artificial intelligence is no longer marketed as a tool, but a replacement. Even though the data show that it is not in fact more efficient, cheaper, or sustainable, it's already forced an existential question. Does a career in entertainment still exist the way we understood it? And what matters in this new creative economy? Today I'm joined by casting director, consultant, and author Cathy Reinking, whose career spans 3 decades and hundreds of credits, including Frasier, Arrested Development, and who served as the manager of casting at NBC during the development of The Office. Cathy and I first met when she cast me as the lead in Jeff and Robbie Fail History, which was a branded web series for Subway, directed by R.J. Daniel Hanna, that premiered at South by Southwest, and is actually the reason that I became AFTRA. And after we wrapped, she invited me to a table read of her own project that she was writing and developing, later offering me a role in its filmed version, and we went on to premiere at the Hollywood Indie Festival. Since then, we both kept moving through the industry, with my work spanning over 100 film, television, and video game projects, including that director's most recent feature film, Succubus, where he tapped me and offered me the lead role opposite Ron Perlman because of the relationship that we built all those years ago. I've also been the face of a Fortune 500 company. I founded the Innovation Lab at NYU's Tisch School of the Arts, and my live performance work has been featured in Playbill, American Theater Magazine, New York Times, and more, as I've traveled all over the world to festivals like South by Southwest, Venice, and Raindance, exploring live performance in virtual spaces. You may also recognize me from the strike line, wearing a very dumb pineapple hat, talking about my career and contracts. Now, Cathy and I have not spoken since I worked on her low-budget indie. And that's not because anyone did anything wrong. It's just how the industry works now. Casting and talent relationships used to be an ongoing conversation, a collaboration. But now we're fragmented into self-tapes, inboxes, algorithms, using this technological layer that is meaning to connect us, but was never really intended to be used in this way. And we can all feel that it's broken. But I did recently see one of Cathy's posts online, and it stopped me. And I wanted to ask her about it.
I just had some contact with 2 of my clients, and I just want to throw out there in the ether, in the air, that there's a big difference between credits that matter and credits that don't matter. Credits that matter are network shows where you get to be a co-star and you get residuals and yada, yada, yada. Credits that don't matter are low to no budget projects, indie films. I mean, everyone now can say they have an indie film, but there's a big difference between indie films that go to Sundance and indie films that go nowhere. So just make sure that you're really clear that if you're willing to do stuff that doesn't pay a network wage, just, be prepared that it might not give you everything that you wanted it to give you, and it might be a bad experience. So just, do what you will with that information. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Cathy, welcome to the conversation, and how are you?
That was an amazing intro. Like, I, first of all, started tearing up immediately because of how you speak about the industry now, and it's really sad. It's just really sad. So I really appreciate us having this talk.
Yeah, well, there's a lot we could talk about in the clip, but as any good actor would do, I want to talk about the moment before. Can you set this up for us? What was the context or the conversation you were having with a client offline that inspired you to bring this advice online?
It's advice that I always have, is that, just what I said. It's, if you, I don't know where to begin, except for I'm all about folks are found on stages now, and they're the most likely to get hired. And as far as the low to no budget stuff, casting directors do not make the final say of anyone who gets a job. Okay. We have to, like, the producer directors that we work for are the parents we can never get approval from. They are never happy until they have somebody that already has heat on them, that has been doing things for years, that has a bunch of co-star and guest star credits. That's not because of us. It's because of our bosses. And this has been the way since when I first started in the 90s.
So I think asking kind of about that, because I hear two pieces of advice inside of that, and I guess we're just all trying to align them, is that I guess I have to push back that most people who do theater don't break into television. In fact, most people who do Broadway don't break into television. So this idea of there is this priority, and has always been, from television people to want to see TV credits, from film people to want to see film credits, from theater people to want to see theater credits. So this idea of the stage being this discoverability vehicle, I guess I'm just curious about that.
No, if you think about all the actors you admire, they were found on a stage. Gilded. Sorry, I'm nervous. They were found on a stage. I mean, the Gilded Age, that the entire cast was all found on Broadway. Like most people who do a big Broadway show, they end up having a series the next year. And it doesn't matter that they haven't had that much time on TV and film. If you're a good performer, you can adjust to that. And that's what's happened to, and you had mentioned, there's Timothée Chalamet. Should we talk about him real quick?
Well, so let's, before we jump around a little bit, I think you talk about like everybody we know was found on stage. And I just think there's a large roster of actors that were not found on stage. We've got literally the movie star Tom Cruise, Michael B. Jordan, The Rock, Jennifer Lawrence, Ryan Gosling, Ben Affleck, Zendaya, Sydney Sweeney. I mean, the cast of Euphoria, that could be argued to be a huge discovery vehicle. And but so to that point, and I think that what I wanted to pull was, far be it from me, I have not been on Broadway. You have not been on Broadway. So hearing from somebody who has, I think there's someone who's having a real moment right now that I think represents what we could only hope would be the analysis or the full revelation of what the entertainment industry.
Don't we need to revise our assessment as where you are?
Maybe, but the business hasn't changed.
Carrie Coons.
The economics haven't changed. The thing that's changed for me is that I was on the White Lotus and now I can be in a Broadway play. That wasn't true for me 5 years ago. The economics of theater have changed because we live in a country that is fundamentally unsupportive of the arts. Governmentally, there's no federal support for the arts. So now, in order to do a play on Broadway, you have to do the White Lotus, or else you're not allowed. They have to replace you with somebody more famous.
Hang on. If you hadn't done White Lotus and Gilded Age and hadn't sort of blown up as a
we wouldn't be
star,
sitting here. Absolutely not.
Your acting ability, what you do on stage, not enough?
No, that's not how we make those decisions anymore. You can ask all these extraordinary theater actors who don't do plays anymore because celebrities are doing plays. It's just a different world that we're living in now.
So
I would say August Osage County, that production, would not come to Broadway now. Nobody would take a risk economically on that move with a bunch of Chicago actors, a bunch of unknown actors in a company. I don't think the play would move now. I don't think anybody would pony up to do it.
And Tracy wouldn't have a Pulitzer?
That's right.
So, I mean, because I love and admire Carrie Coon in every possible way. And I would have thought the Gilded Age, to your point, it is this incredible showcase of actors that I love from the stage. But here's Carrie saying that that is not enough to even return to Broadway. It takes a show like The White Lotus to even be considered, which is more in alignment with my own experience and the rejections that I've had in my attempts to take that path. And so hearing from you that there is this different window into that is interesting to me.
Yeah, well, Carrie Coons is an interesting choice because I've been following her career forever. And, like those of us that were working on big pilots in the 90s and the 2000s, we would always hear about these actors like the Steppenwolf theater program where she, of course, was from, and Tracy Letts, and that's how they met and, have this great relationship now. But so we were always tuned in to who was on Broadway during pilot season. And then we would go see the shows, and then we would bring those folks. And the producers were always more interested in those actors than actors who didn't have those kind of credits because they knew they were great actors. But that was another time as well. But it is interesting because she's been working a lot for years. So yeah. And Tracy Letts. Can I talk about Tracy Letts real quick?
Her
Because
husband, yeah.
her husband, Tracy Letts, in the 90s would come for pilot season every year to LA. And he's a great actor, of course, great playwright, and he would come and he would not get a pilot ever, even though he was really great. And we were always championing them because we always championed those actors that we knew were fantastic, and again, usually found on a stage. But for him in particular, it was kind of a gift that he didn't get cast in a pilot, because then he wrote August Osage County and is this amazing play. I mean, he was always an amazing playwright, and then he gets to do whatever he wants now. So
well, but he would argue in that same interview that I don't have a clip from, but that there are these cycles within any commercial enterprise, Broadway being one of them, and that it's taken years for him to be able to get back to Broadway since Osage County because of these same kind of conditions and parameters, which we know are always part of the business.
Yeah, but he was in What's Afraid of Virginia Woolf with Carrie Coons. Sure. And that's how Carrie Coons got really noticed, because of this one scene she had where she was drunk, and it was like the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Right. So that's how Carrie got
violence.
Sort of, yeah. Oh my God. So I think every story is very unique, and you can't like blanket it a little bit. I've just seen so much theater over the years, and I see when people really break out. Like, for instance, Antoine Hopper, who was in the musical that I just went blank on. Anyway, he ended up getting recurring on Will Trent, and now he's blown up. So, there's individual stories of sure, individual people.
Sure, yes. So I would agree with you that there's no blanket statement. And I think what inspired this conversation today is it felt like the advice was a very blanket statement. And so trying to really identify where is that nuance and where are those guidelines or those rules? Because, with Antoine Hopper, I don't think that goes from being in a show to 6 months later being plucked from obscurity onto a pilot that then goes. There's obviously a journey between, and that journey includes a lot of work that never becomes visible or never becomes successful.
You mean him getting better on camera? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're insinuating, or no? What do you?
Better anywhere. I mean, just that no actor's journey is that linear. That you were on stage, no one knew who you were. Because even to be on Broadway is not.
It's hard.
That's like saying to be. Well, it's like saying to be in a Marvel movie, you have to just be found in a Spielberg movie.
I guess. So yeah, it happens though. Like, there's so many people working on. There's Lost Boys that just opened, a new musical, which is incredible, and I know. If they want, all those young performers are going to be in a pilot next year. I don't even know if they still make traditional pilots. It's a little bit wonky. That's also part of it. But they'll just make a show. But all of those great performers are all probably, if they want, going to be in big movies and TV shows.
Well,
it's like an automatic.
Who wouldn't want that? How is that an automatic? So just because that doesn't align with anything that I know in 20 years in the business, and doesn't seem to align with the actors that I've seen you champion over the years. They don't just automatically switch over to being in pilots and TV shows.
If the casting director or the producer wants them, they can just go straight there. That happened. That they don't need any. Are you talking about they need training on camera? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I mean, what I'm arguing is that this pipeline that we're describing. Like, I agree, there's a renaissance in the live arts happening right now, but and correct me if I'm incorrect here, but universally, I don't believe that casting directors are going to black box and open mic 7 days a week to scout new talent. If they are, they're looking on TikTok for clips of those performances or press of those performances, which is already elevating to a specific, a different ability than what it is to be on stage, right? We're talking about an algorithm, we're talking about publicists, we're talking about a specific pipeline. And the footage quality of that online content is frankly worse than most independent films, and it's not sustainable for the artist to put out.
Right.
Let's hear from a different. Go for it.
Just you're right. There's the pipeline. There's two different pipelines that a casting director. Now, I haven't talked to recently to any of the casting directors in New York, but I'm pretty sure they're going to see shows. They're going to see shows all the time, and they're scouting for talent, but they also, because casting directors love performers, like we love them. And when we see great performers, we don't care if they haven't been on film or TV yet. We see the greatness of what they're doing. And so we would always think about them or put them on a list. And then it used to be that we would bring them into the room. As you had sort of hearkened to in your intro, not having the room anymore is really the biggest detriment. Not having a room where we can bring actors into audition live. Instead, they have to be doing self-tapes. And that to me is the worst thing that's happened. But I believe that in New York, agents and casting directors are always going to shows, which means they're always scouting for talent because they just love it. Because our world is all about great actors, and we want to help them. And
I think everybody, I think everybody would be delighted to hear that. Let's hear from someone I think is succeeding the most at this kind of open mic culture and online culture.
Don't we need to revise our assessment?
I was an actor before I was a stand-up comedian. Like, I went to college for musical theater, and I was an actor before I was a stand-up comedian. Like, I went to college for musical theater, and I very much felt the gates being closed in my face as an actor. And I mean, in the sense of, like, couldn't get enough auditions to even find out if I could get in there. And, you know, maybe lack of talent, maybe not good looking enough, whatever. But I felt what it was to be on the other side of the gatekeepers so intensely, so much so that I pivoted careers. And I look at what I've been able to do with the chaos that is social media, and I go, of the two, I prefer the latter. At least I can do something.
So yes, I agree with you about the art, right? The problem is, how do you get paid? All the social media work that you're talking about.
I don't disagree.
Right? The editing that you're doing yourself, you don't get paid for any of that. I was in the TikTok Creator Fund at sort of like the peak of that, and I was churning out million hit videos every day, get a million hits, make $40. All of that is to promote your special that you're doing. Let's say you think of it that way, the big piece of art, right? You're trying to get people in the door to have them see the hour special. That market has also cratered. It used to be, you know, a guy like you in your position with the amount of heat that you have would go to a Netflix or somewhere like that, right? And maybe they'd put $100,000 behind filming it, and you're releasing it on YouTube. I don't say that as a knock, but the whole industry has been devalued. Like the comedy special itself it doesn't even make sense anymore as something other than a YouTube video.
Bouncing back from that is going to be so hard. Like, I think, you know, Zoom auditions I think are garbage, and it's like, well, what's gonna make it turn back? I don't know. A dark period of the arts where everyone goes, wow, everything kind of sucks. And then someone goes, so a show is made that is great, and people go, how'd you do it? And they go, this casting director is really annoying. They made everyone come in person. And they go,
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
So I guess talk to me a little bit about what I love about Gianmarco's rise is that he's really embraced the fact that, yes, he's doing open mic and he honestly does crowd work better than anybody in the business right now. But there is this digital layer that has to go on top of anything because no one really goes to the theater. That's not really where the audience is. That's not really where the discoverability is. That's not really where the producers are. And so all of his opportunity comes out of these social media clips that he's gotten so good at doing, and this digital interface of basically putting out independent work. And so to harken back to kind of what started our conversation today, there's this conversation about like what actually matters. And I think that there's no actor doing stuff that doesn't matter, right? And this conversation of like, what is the investment that any actor, let alone a new actor, should be doing to try to get in the business, get on the radar, do good work, be seen, and kind of actually start putting together that career?
Wow, those are really good questions. Part of the problem is there are too many people in the pipeline trying to get a career. You know, you have to be a charismatic performer. You have to be very intelligent. I mean, there's certain skills you need that make you a great performer. And those casting directors who have been working at this a long time, they can spot it really easily, really quickly. And we're trying to weed out the people that really are not good enough, not necessarily for us, but for the big producers that want to have great content. And there's so many levels of, you know, there's the TV shows that you want to be on that pay a living wage and residuals. And then there are, again, the low to no budget stuff. So there's so much noise in the whole container right now. It is hard to sort of find your bearings as a performer. It really is. Yeah, I just feel like actors who perform live all the time are better at self-taping, and they're better at, they get practice, like they're practicing all the time. It's important. Like you're a musician where, you know, you wouldn't just practice your instrument, you know, when you're working. You would just practice, and practice is getting on a stage, like an open mic, you know, anything where there's a stage. It could be open mic, it could be improv. And that if you're performing all the time, you'll be very agile when you do get that amazing audition that is like winning the lottery.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would argue with honing your craft and staying, you know, it's a muscle like anything else, you know, staying in shape with your craft and your career. I guess the conversation becomes the danger conversation, you know, and the nuance of this conversation that I think was the corrective conversation I was seeking is in the pursuit of that, this idea of like, we'll just be doing, just be working. You are speaking to someone who has taken all the advice and done all the training, created so much of my own content. I am literally in a play right now. Like I am always exercising that muscle. That does not translate, nor do I think that anyone would want to posit that that automatically buys you into a career, right? There is an element of luck. There's an element of right time, right place. There's an element of being a part of certain projects. There's a whole soup of things that happen here. And so bringing it back to this idea of like, we want to be on television that pays a living wage and pays residuals, you know, as being this kind of aspirational goal for a credit that matters, something that will help you stand out. I think the question that I run into, or the thing that I just look at my own balance sheet and, you know, credit card and have these conversations is, you know, there's currently under 30 network shows expected to debut in 2026, which is down from 60 to 70 annually during the 2010s. The budgets are getting less and less. The offers are now going to self-tape. So these same celebrities who were getting offers, B-list, C-list, are now being asked to self-tape as well. Like you're saying, there's so many people in the mix. And the majority of those roles are now classified as co-stars. They're no longer really like guest star roles. And that's a purely economic decision. You know, I have friends that are on 9 episodes out of 10 of a season, and they're on a co-star contract, not on a series regular or a guest star. right?
Yeah.
And then because these shows air on streaming, not on network, they don't pay a residual.
Nope.
So
no, not like that. Not like residuals for Will Trent, you know, like.
I mean, no, let me be
Yeah.
clear. They don't pay residuals. I mean, I have done network TV shows in the last 6 months that, you know, aired their one time on television, and then they went to streaming like Hulu, and I do not receive residuals for a Disney Plus or for these kind of paywall subscriber experiences. So
Yeah.
the economic trajectory of I'm going to book this job and it's going to hold me over or help pad me or help subsidize me to then take on those smaller things or go to that open mic night, that doesn't economically exist anymore for 99.9% of people, even those on television. So I guess getting into this conversation of how are you, what are those credits you're supposed to be aspiring towards? What is it that actually stands out and is sustainable? And which are these things that are, you know, a waste of time?
Let's go back to the residual thing though, because ABC, CBS, and like they still pay residuals for their network shows.
When you're on ABC.
Correct. So there are
But
still, it's just not very many. It's very limited.
So yeah, I'm trying to not like badmouth anybody. So you are describing something that is not in alignment with my lived experience.
Yeah, I mean, just because, so the 10 years I spent in Atlanta, you know, I mean, it was, it's, you know, I went there because I was hired to cast a film and I just stayed because I loved it. And I didn't want to be in Los Angeles anymore because I thought that was, you know, dead, even though I'm from there.
Say more about that.
I went and, from where? From LA? Oh.
Yeah, that LA's dead.
It's, yeah, you know what? Honestly, Atlanta's getting dead now too. It is the saddest time right now for people in the industry, unless you're already a big star, a big producer. I'm going to be depressing everyone, but the reality is people keep thinking about, oh, when LA was a place to go, you know, and have all these TV shows. That's not it anymore. Atlanta's not really it. It's oversaturated. New York is kind of special because it's not as large a market. I haven't talked to any of the casting directors in New York, but I do talk to agents in New York, and you know, they're still, you know, there are still jobs to be had that give a residual. You know, so it's kind of a hodgepodge now, and people have opinions about different markets, but have they been in those markets? I don't know. And it could be just hearsay. It could be other acting coaches saying stuff where they've never really lived in any of those markets, you know, and worked in any of those markets. So there's a lot of weird information also being passed around.
Well, yes, and I think that, look, there will always be, if you ask George Clooney, I'm sure the industry's going just fine, right? Like
yeah, you're right.
Or ask Noah Wiley, for example, right? So I think you will always be able to find someone who's killing it, right? Which is why I wanted to pull clips from people who I think are at the kind of top of their game right now.
Yeah, those are good.
So that we're hearing from people who are kind of the most aspirational that someone like me could even hope for. And to hear their own kind of concerns and frustrations with the current funnel and pipeline. Just I think speaks to a more right. But I think if it's bad, you know, you're market hopping right now as well to make a move to New York, which I think there's probably like thousands of people in, you know, I was one of these kids in North Carolina wondering, should I move to New York, right? And they're looking to other professionals to say, should I take on this incredible risk, this incredible burden to go do this thing? And there's a lot of fear and anxiety about that, and a lot of second guessing that goes into that, because it is hard, right? We're talking about the most expensive place to live in the United States.
Yeah, although LA is a close second.
but you know, like, I guess what I come around to in this conversation is that I'm just remain confused, because I see that you have built a life in network television, but you don't currently have a network TV job. And that's not criticism, that's the state of our industry. And so this idea of we're all struggling, and isn't the more generous advice that there's a lot of different ways to have a meaningful career?
Yeah. Yeah, I did work on network TV when I went to Atlanta. But I found that being a local casting director and in Atlanta didn't have even the same weight as being in LA. Also, I got really sick, and it just casting is a 24/7 job, and to be honest, I just got really burned out, and I decided just to work with actors to help them create their own content, to make one person shows so that they could at least have something to tour or do in Fringe, or that they could stay busy, you know, not busy, but telling their own stories. So I started doing that. But I don't know if I could even go back to casting full time, because it's a very difficult job, especially in this market now, because it's changed for us as well.
Sure, sure.
You
No,
know,
I mean, my heart
so
breaks for so many casting directors, because I think about the self-tape of it all. And you all used to
oh
be trusted who those 20, 30, 40 people that bring in the room were going to be. And now it's this, well, y'all should just see everybody all that way. You should just get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and watch 600
yeah,
tapes, because why not? Instead of valuing your time and expertise. But I
yeah.
do want to ask about this, this consulting angle that you're taking with actors, of championing them to really create their own work, tell their own story. And as someone who's kind of taken that advice for the better part of 2 decades, I guess, again, this falls in this category of returning to the original statement in question. It doesn't sound like that work, when and if done, would, quote unquote, matter, would be seen positively by the industry, by the casting community, because so many actors now have been told, make your short film, make your one-person show, do your open mics, and those credits often then get kind of diminished, and even furthermore, they start to be looked down upon, which I think is even more scary, is this idea of like, you could take on a role and that's no longer even a kind of a net neutral, it's just to your detriment. And so I kind of wanted to ask, through that context, you are someone who, again, is rare, has written and produced their own work.
Yeah, spent
And
way too much money and stuff that didn't go anywhere. That pilot, that British invasion, I'm still upset about that. It was a great concept, but the gatekeepers, we have to, I know what that feels like. Like,
right. So then
yeah.
how do you advise and consult somebody to take on that burden, knowing that that doesn't actually really lead anywhere?
Well, it's better than doing nothing, because then the next thing would be, maybe you should just quit. And I would never, ever tell anyone that. You have to sort of decide that on your own. But what I do is offer them opportunities to perform, because usually it is to make a living, but it's usually people that love performing. So I offer them ways to perform that are free, like open mics. Like, honestly, just doing stand up it's free. You can go and you can tell your story any night of the week, and that feeds you in some way. So it's for people that just love to perform so much. Those are the people that are kind of sticking around, I guess, and not just saying, this is too hard. Also, the film, making these films that I have, it's so costly that I think just performing live is more there. It doesn't cost as much money. So maybe I'm just suggesting free stuff for actors to go do, so they can keep performing and love to perform.
Sure. I mean, I guess, again, in my own experience producing, I produced off Broadway for 5 years. I don't recall that being a very affordable experience of mine.
No, but again, open mic. But again, just doing something simple like a one-person show. I mean, you do have to rent the space, so nothing is free.
Right.
Nothing is free
Right.
for actors.
Nothing is
You
free.
have to be.
Right.
You have to have. You just have to have a lot of money available to you. And
Right.
me being one who has had to ask for money many
Yeah.
times,
Yeah.
and doing so right now. It's the only thing I know how to do. It's the only, I just, if all the actors went away, our lives would be awful. If every performer just got sick of what's going on and just left, I don't know what the layman would do. I don't know what people would do. So we need performers, but they do need to be respected more. And they do, and God, especially you, Brendan, you're such a good actor. There is no
That's very
reason. There is no reason. No reason. It makes me
but let's
sad.
diagnose it. Let's diagnose that. And again, I think that this is something that I've taken on in my own work, because it comes back to where we got into the comments in your post, which I didn't, want to just like go make some reaction video and, quibble. I just wanted to get
better.
directly in your feed and say, hey, I'm confused about this. To me, you reached out to me and offered me a role in your independent project, and I accepted that role. And I thought I was investing in a relationship with a casting professional who would then see me as someone who was in relationship with them, invested in them. And this happens all the time. Like I'll get asked to do table reads or short films or even student films or first-time features by casting professionals that obviously the context in which we are in dialogue is that we have met through a casting experience. I am hoping you give me a job, and I want to be professional and pleasant and proactive. And so I'm saying, yeah, of course. Like, I want to work. You've got a thing going on right now. Does it pay a lot? No. Is it glamorous? No. Is it going to probably be the next breakaway hit? No. But the gig is to show up and be in process with my community and with other creators. And so what I hear in your original post, which I don't think is intended, but through this conversation feels like it is not quite resolved, is it sounds to me like my taking on the offer that you gave me to be in your independent project doesn't matter. Like it didn't matter. It wasn't important. It was maybe a detriment. It was another credit no one recognized on my thing. And did the same thing. You're consulting with people to go out and make their own work, but you're saying indies don't matter and the footage looks bad and all those things. So then there's this conversation of, to your point, you're saying, I don't want people to do nothing, but it sounds like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, don't do nothing, but if you take on some of these projects, you might have a bad experience and that's on you. It may not pay a living wage and that's on you. It might be a bad credit and that's on you. And it might pile up a bunch of fluff on your resume that then we as professional casting directors don't really see as being relevant or important enough to elevate you. And that starts to kind of feel like a giant game of why are you hitting yourself?
Yeah. But that's, again, not because of us. It's because we know the producers are very difficult to please. And, they do look at the credits that are in your Actors Access page. Also, I have seen way too many bad demo reels. And I see that people did low to no budget projects, which is fine. But sometimes you do not get good footage. And if you're doing it for that, you've just wasted all that time. And it's the same process as getting a network show. You have to submit yourself, and then you have to get chosen, and then you have to do a self-tape, and then you have to send it in. So it's the same process, but a lot of times you end up with just bad footage. And I've just seen too much of that when I look at someone's Actors Access page, and it feels like you should have just gone to do an open mic and videotaped yourself doing that and being great. Like that really means more to us.
Won't that footage be as bad?
A good stand-up routine? No.
A phone taken in the back of a comedy club with no lighting is going to be better than an indie film?
Well, it just depends. Again, it's a hodgepodge of what's going on in because indie film can mean so many things now.
So can a camera in the back of a comedy club.
No, people have gotten work just on their comedy tapes. If it's really good stand-up, if they're very charismatic, if it's good content, then we will see through that. We will see through the bad lighting. But on bad demo reels where the actor doesn't even have any lines in the scene that I'm watching of his, or that it's not shot well because it's a film, not because it's a comedy routine. I'd rather see a badly lit comedy routine that's funny than a scene that is out of context that doesn't really make any sense. And the acting isn't good, and the other actors aren't really good. Like I've seen a lot of projects like that.
Right, but again, I think circling back to the kind of the entry point for this, we don't choose the DP, we don't choose our castmates, right? To your point, you know, like you're having to kind of feed this casting machine with producers and executives. If you're casting a short film right now and you ask me to be in it, should I say no because the DP might not be very good and that's going to be bad footage?
I'm not saying that.
Or should I say yes because it's part of the relationship and part of the career, and maybe it will be good footage and maybe it will be a good scene, and I'm getting practice being on set and I'm getting practice being on camera?
But there are bad habits that can be led to. It just depends. Also, a lot of the independent, low to no budget are not hiring casting directors to cast their films, and they could be a lot better because it's really hard to cast a film. And a lot of times they're giving it to somebody that, oh, let's just give it to the PA, or let's just give it to, I don't know, one of our producers. It's really hard to cast a film. So that's another thing, is that the quality is so all over the place now. It's really hard to know where to put your eggs, like what projects to self-submit for. And I'm talking about self-submitting right now, because if you have an agent, then you're just going to be going out for stuff your agent sends you, because your agent is making money. And so they are going to send you in for, I'm assuming, a job that pays.
Do you want to hear a different perspective on that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I mean, I think we've always heard agents say we get paid 10% because we do 10% of the work. I think most agents would believe that you should be out there cultivating your own relationships, you know, creating your own work and getting your own opportunities as well. And through that, there have been numerous times where, you know, I mean, I did a table read for Ad Astra with Brad Pitt.
Right.
I sat next to Brad Pitt and I
Right.
read every stage direction of that entire movie.
Oh my God.
And it was a disaster because it was a very long script. I think there's 40 lines in the script, you know, so I was basically reading, you know, a Russian novel to a room full of executives. And at the end of that, Brad said, hey, you know, credit where it's due. Let's all give Brendan a round of applause for doing the heavy lifting, which was an incredibly nice thing to have said.
Yeah, that's nice.
I'm not even a robot voice in post-production being like, door open. Like there was no job to be had from that experience. But did my agent think that was a really smart room for me to be in? Absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds fun. And you did it for, I mean, yeah. You did it for, you were asked to do it. That sounds great. I mean, yeah.
But I guess it doesn't translate into anything.
You mean you'd put it as a credit on your Actors Access page?
No, I would never put it as a credit. I mean,
so what do you mean? Like, you mean anybody who was at that, like, how would that further your career to do that as far as an actor?
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, it was, oh, great. I got to walk into this room full of executives. They got to see that, like, you know, I was able to hang out next to Brad without being weird about that, which is its own version of professionalism.
Yeah.
I carried a bunch of material. I read a bunch of lines. Like, why not let that be that pipeline for, I mean, Swingers started out as, you know, table reads being done of the script with Vince Vaughn and Favreau.
Oh yeah.
And the whole gang.
Oh yeah. I was there when, I mean, I wasn't there when it didn't have anything to do with the film, but of course I mean, the 90s were a different time. The 90s, who knew that the 90s and the 2000s would be the best time for TV and film and actors to be in LA. Now that was only LA and New York. There's always been the New York market. And again, for every pilot season, probably it still goes on, is that they are scouting for talent on Broadway. They just are. I mean, talk to Colin Daniel about that, or, you know, and any number of casting directors that are working on sitcoms. They're all still scouting talent in New York. But it's such a fractured industry now. And there's, again, there's really, where should an actor live? Like, I'm having trouble advising people where to live now to be an actor. Because it used to be, you know, LA, Atlanta, and New York. And that you really do have to, I feel like this local talent, where, you know, you really have to be living in the city where production is being done. But it's so fractured now, because there's also production in Charlotte, in North Carolina. There's production everywhere now. So where should an actor live? Because that's another layer, is it's so hard if you don't live in the city where something is shot. Because, you know, to get
but you can't live in every
travel
city.
is right. But you know, if you were based in, I work with a lot of people in Chicago that live in Chicago, and so yeah, it's just hard if you live in, it's just hard. It's hard. It's just hard.
So what leads to your decision to move to New York?
Because I love theater so much, and it makes me happy. It makes me happy, and my daughter's a huge influencer, and her name is Theater is Life, and she is always in New York seeing theater and does amazing content. And I missed her. I missed her because she would come to Atlanta once in a while to see theater and me, and so I just wanted to be close to her. And I'm right now, I'm trying to stay, I'm a crier, sorry. I'm trying to stay optimistic in life in general, because it's pretty messed up right now in a lot of areas, and not just entertainment. But I find my joy in going to watch great performers perform live on stage. That's where I get my joy. And I can tell you, even, you know, when I was working in the Frasier casting office, which, you know, was an amazing experience, and Jeff Greenberg and Sheila Guthrie, and I can tell you, all the casting directors that worked on all those sitcoms, they loved going to New York. They love theater. These are theater kids. Like, we're the old school theater kids.
And I love, you know, I love that and hear that, because I'm a theater kid, and I will always defer to theater first. But I think where I think everyone gets confused is New York is not the only place where theater happens.
No,
and
right.
You know, I got my start in community theater in North Carolina, and then regional theater all over the country, and then very small shows in New York that I can tell you casting directors did not come to and producers did not come to, because I could see the four people that were in the audience.
Right.
But so this kind of conversation of, we can love something, but where is the life to be made in that, and where can you feel like that work is valued and you as an artist are valued? And because I know we've gotten into, you know, some vulnerable territory, I think I'll lay us up with an easy one. We can talk about someone who does not value the live arts.
I was an actor,
and I don't want to be working in ballet or opera, or, you know, things where it's like, hey, keep this thing alive, even though
hold on.
That was
no one cares about this anymore.
Hold on.
And I don't want to be working in ballet or opera, or, you know, things where it's like, hey, keep this thing alive, even though it's like no one cares about this anymore. All respect to the ballet and opera people out there. I just lost 14 cents in viewership.
Oh man, he got a lot of shit for that. I'm so happy. He got so much shit for that. But that was a stupid remark.
It was a stupid remark, but I think it is revealing in the sense that he's not alone in that opinion. And I think that, again, bringing it full circle here today, I think that there's a lot of people in the comments on the video that I commented on, and even me sitting here today, we brush into it repeatedly. I think there's a lot of people who feel that that's the position other people are taking about their work and their art and their careers.
I'm sorry. Explain again. What are you getting at?
I think once you start saying that there is work that matters and there's work that doesn't matter.
I'm saying credits that matter. Credits that matter. And that's because that's what the producers, that's what the showrunners look for. Do they have any credits? Do they have any network credits? It's basically they're looking at, for TV, they're looking at, do they have any network credits at all?
Right, but as network shows compress and compress and compress.
Yeah, I know.
We're basically saying, well, then you really can't get those credits. That's not achievable. There's not the volume of work to be done to even get those jobs.
It's true. It's true.
And then to say, well, then just be on stage in New York, you know, be on stage in the most expensive city in the world, somehow afford a shoebox apartment to then go to open mics all the time.
I think you can, I mean, you can do it in Atlanta as well. I'm sorry, my mind is all over the place, because what are actors to do? Are you saying that actors should every day go and look through, self-submit on Actors Access if they don't have an agent? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying.
What should actors do right now? What do you think actors should do?
I don't know. I'm asking
what are
the
you
professional
doing?
who runs a consulting business to tell actors what to do.
I tell them what to do. Like, if you create content, if you create live content, you can perform it anywhere. There's a lot of what about fringe show content?
I took an original musical to the Edinburgh Fringe 2 years ago. I performed 24 consecutive shows. But here's the important part, Cathy. You love me, right? Like, we've worked together. You believe in my work. You said I should be popping off right now. Like, you think I work so hard and that I'm so talented. You don't even know that I wrote an original musical and took it to Edinburgh Fringe because this communication, digital, social media, relational dynamic for our industry is that fractured. Here you are loving theater. All you want to do is go see theater. I'm in a play right now. You're not coming. And
it's in LA.
It's actually virtual, so anyone can attend. But that's not a judgment.
Right. You're right.
That's not a judgment. That's just a reality check on, I've always had to accept as a performer that I can say yes, I can show up, I can do good work. And then the rest of it is sort of out of my hands. And as long as I can continue to feel valued and find value in that work, in that craft, that hopefully I reach a point where there are projects that pop off, projects that do very well, that then make economic sense. And I would say that that's true of any profession. I mean, I like to remind my family, my sister is an orthopedic surgeon, very high performing, great job, but she did not have a paycheck until she was 30 because she was doing residency and fellowship and all these things that doctors do that are unpaid labor to build a career. And so it's not out of the pocket that artists do similar work, but in the way that you would say, oh, you did a fellowship at X, Y, and Z hospital, how prestigious, how wonderful, and that leads to a job. It's odd to me that there would be anything in our career that is performance-based, that would then not be interpreted by the professional community who also knows how hard it is, who also knows how fractured it is, who also feels how disconnected it is, that any of that work would be a stain, that any of that work would be a diminishment, or any of that work wouldn't count.
But what if it's not good footage? What if like you can't just because you did something,
who's to say?
A low to no budget film?
Tangerine went to Sundance. It was shot on an iPhone.
Yeah, but that's because of Sean Baker. I mean,
he wasn't Sean Baker at the time. That's what made him Sean Baker.
Right, I know. But not everyone is a Sean Baker, and not everyone is a great actor. And maybe that's what I'm talking about, is that it's really the people that are really, really brilliant I don't know what I'm saying, because it's such a hodgepodge. It's such a, so what, Are actors, does it come a time when an actor should just say, look, this is costing me too much time and money. I shouldn't do it anymore. And I would pretty much guess that no actor would say that they're going to do it until they die.
I wake up every single day and wonder that, Cathy. This is,
I mean, really, that's the question. That is the question.
It's a difficult path. It's difficult work. It has always been difficult work. But I think that there was,
it's costly. It's so expensive.
It's very expensive. But I think that what I worry, because I have been the victim of this, there's an anecdote that I've seen you use online, which is Connor Storrie, who's having a moment right now.
Yeah.
And
he was clowning.
Yeah, but Cathy, he was not discovered clowning. He was waiting tables and he auditioned. And he booked a low budget.
Yeah, but he was in a class. Wait, no, he was also in a class where he was studying, he was doing clowning.
Right.
What were you saying?
But clowning is not what led to him booking a show.
Right. Someone saw him perform, or it was someone related to the class, and they brought him in. I thought that was the story.
He was waiting tables and he auditioned for a low budget Canadian web series. And that Canadian series happened to be sold to Warner Brothers.
Okay. Well, then he won the lottery. I mean,
yes, he won the lottery. But I think that in that, I say this anecdote because I have been in LGBTQIA content that did not become heated rivalry.
Yeah.
And the amount of discomfort and disdain and minor homophobia that I have experienced from this industry for performing in scenes like that and being in content like that, it may as well have been considered a death sentence. And yet, the filmmakers that I did those projects for, it was them taking on the risk. You know, one of them, he mortgaged his house to make this feature film. Another one, it was the project that, was his grad school thesis that then toured the world and got him a Netflix deal and a book deal. It's such a fine line between when it matters and when it doesn't matter.
I know,
and none of this was the graphics resolution of the cameras we were shooting on, or how good the scene was, or the actors around me in those scenes. It was entirely based upon just, that's the way this business works. I mean, major companies, ABC, Disney, they don't know what's going to hit next. They will make good product to the best of their ability and hope that it hits the zeitgeist. But I think what I worry is that we've entered this period where I'm having to wake up every single day and figure out how to be in best relationship with my art, with my work, with my craft, and with my community. And right now, we both agree. I think the best advice we've both landed on in this conversation is we both feel fractured from each other. We are both, casting and talent are not in shared dialogue and community with each other. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I don't think anyone's done anything wrong, but I don't judge the burden that casting directors have had to go through to respond to this moment. I'm trying to figure out how to support and work within this new normal. And it is odd to me that in each of these transitions over the last 2 decades, I have felt judged, I have felt criticized, I have felt punched down upon because of the work I have done to just try to keep going. And what I'm trying to do is find that nuance where surely there must be a fundamental understanding that if you are working as a performer, you are striving to better yourself and your craft, whether that's in class, whether that's in a short film, whether that's on a stage at an open mic or a workshop play, or whether it's in a $40 million movie. And the idea that those things don't have value seems like a fundamental fracture of the industry and is unsustainable as an industry. Because if we don't have a Connor Storrie that we can drastically underpay, because they made $8,000 Canadian a week to be in that show on a
I didn't know
on a
that.
3-year deal. That's less than I made as a guest star in 2016. So
Yeah.
he was a series regular on the show. So
Yeah, boy.
that's
It's
not
the economics. The economics of shows now is like ridiculous. I
right.
mean,
So when you do win the lottery, you don't actually win the lottery. So how does one make a career that matters is kind of, I guess, what brought us here today, and what,
yeah.
as someone who is putting this online and saying it, I want to hear from you. What does matter?
Well, what matters if we don't know somebody and we're in their Actors Access page? What matters is good footage. That's a bottom line. And I've just seen too much bad footage. And I have to tell somebody, look, you did all this work, but I can't forward this to a producer, or, you know, I can't even tell, you know, like, you just need good footage. As simple as that. If you're like starting out or wondering, because you need something of you on camera, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I've just watched too much bad footage, and that's what makes me say it's better to just perform live, because you have full control over what you're presenting.
So is it better to have
that's a
no
bottom
footage
line.
than bad footage?
No, you still have to have footage, but again,
Okay.
you can, you know, like these storytelling events, you know, we make videos and people can post them in their Actors Access page, because it shows.
And are those translating to network television jobs?
Again, it's like, there's not as many network jobs anymore. So for series regulars.
But the whole context of this conversation was that what matters is submitting for and going after those credits. So,
Yeah,
and you're saying that the way to do that is to be on stage. So genuinely, are there anecdotes of people who did a storytelling experience where you had a phone in the back of the audience and that clip was then worthy enough to pass through these same decision makers that you're saying won't respond to an independent film?
I mean, what about Bo Burnham? I mean, he was doing stuff in his bedroom, and you know, he became Bo Burnham.
That's YouTube content, which is its own thing.
But that's still content. Yeah, but that still counts.
Well, so
I mean, he became big, so
does it?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think any performing at all, whether it's in YouTube or on social media, I mean that counts for something. Otherwise, why would so many people be doing it?
So then wouldn't an independent film count as well? Wouldn't a web series count as well?
Well, for like you just putting yourself on tape, you have full control over it. But a lot of times you just don't know the production. You don't know. Sometimes short, low to no budget films don't come together very well. A lot of them don't come together very well.
I mean, a lot of YouTube content doesn't come together very well.
Right, but if you're
GIANMARCO's
doing
content that I shared is not very well produced.
Right, but yeah.
I feel like we've covered a lot of
everyone's
ground.
frustrated. Yeah, and everyone's frustrated with the state of entertainment right now. And how do you get a break? How do you get good footage without wasting too much time? And it feels like you can get good footage just by doing it yourself, in like if you're on a stage, or you can still make it like a Bo Burnham style, right?
Well, Bo
that's
Burnham
free.
That's not free at all. Bo Burnham's content is extraordinarily well produced. The stuff he's known for.
He started off. But he started off just making stuff in his, especially during COVID, you know, where he was just in his room making stuff, and his music. So
I think that is a drastic misrepresentation of Bo Burnham's process.
I mean, I've just seen his videos, so that's all I can. His videos are very compelling.
They're incredibly compelling. He's an incredible artist. He's one of the artists I admire most. But Bo Burnham made the pandemic series that you're referring to. He had a Netflix deal to make that.
Oh, okay, all right. But he had
done his 2 prior specials on Netflix, fully produced, on stage, multiple cameras, giant,
Yeah.
concert halls.
Yeah. Yeah. But how do you get to that level? How did he get to that level? By just creating stuff, stand up.
I think that if that were true, if you just create stand-up online and you magically get a Netflix deal, I think we'd see a lot more Netflix deals.
Well, yeah,
So
but you have to be a
something
special.
in between.
Yeah, he's a genius.
He is a genius. So
He's a genius.
So the answer is to be a genius.
Well, the answer is to be undeniable, to be so good that even the top producers are going to go, yeah, let's give him a chance.
Okay.
And it could happen at any time to anyone, but you really have to be so undeniable that they're willing to take a chance on you. Gotcha. Whatever that means to who's ever listening to this. It's got to be so amazing. It can't be junky. It can't be, it can be almost it could be lowbrow because sometimes that works, but it just has to be such good content that I would watch the entire thing.
Gotcha. So if I am unable, either because of my equipment or because of my access or because of my budget or because of my opportunities, if something isn't going to be undeniable, then it is not worth pursuing.
Oh, it's always worth pursuing to be undeniable. And yeah, you have to keep working at it, making it until it's just like, it's some zeitgeist. It's something, it catches fire.
How do you quantify that?
It's really hard because everybody's got different opinions.
Right.
I just know what my opinion is. How do I quantify? I can see it. I have, I'm good at scouting talent. I'm good at seeing people that are like, they've got a depth to them. They're both dark and light. Like they're so compelling. I can't take my eyes off them. And they have eyes that are so absorbing, are telling the story that I want to know more. I want to know more about this character they're playing. Mm-hmm. So it's star quality, but that sounds a little woo-woo. It's not really star quality. It's just a depth. And if it's comedy, a sense of humor that really just moves me. I want to be emotionally moved by something.
Okay. So if I fish for the compliment, I believe that you felt this way about me at one point in time.
I did. I wish I would have kept casting after I did British Invasion. I wish I would have. I think that's when I left LA. I can't remember now, but it's been such a long time. But, I wish I would have been casting a series. I would have brought you in, of course.
But you have been behind the scenes, so you would have the best insight into why my material or my package doesn't break through.
I'm not sure. Why do you think?
Well, I don't know. It's why I try something different every single year.
Are you really being I don't know. I feel like if you would really reveal yourself a little bit more in everything you do, it feels like there might be a little bit of a curtain.
Say more.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a curtain, and I think on the surface you're really good, but am I feeling depth and humanity? I'm not. It feels a little cold.
Can you point to a specific anecdote?
Just how you are right now.
Well, we're not acting right now. We're in a conversation.
Well, but I'm still, anytime you're talking to anyone, there shouldn't be a facade. I think there's a facade with you. And so maybe you're doing that in your content. I'm not sure. I haven't watched all of your current content, to be honest. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like, there's a veil.
I think there's, I guess that throws me because to suggest there's a veil in this conversation, I think that's very fair. You know, I'm wanting to pull my punches as much as possible and remain cordial and allow us to fundamentally.
No, let's go. You do.
we don't need to fight for no purpose. Look, I think we fundamentally disagree about.
Just...
Well, I think we fundamentally disagree about our lived experience in this industry. I don't think that the majority of what you're saying is in alignment with the actual steps that I have taken in the live arts, in film, in television, you know, everything from the process to get there to getting credits that are noticeable to the economics of it. So, you know, so the idea that I have had to live in this, and it could be a guardedness, it could be a veil, but there is this boundary of going, oh, okay, I'm going to just remain open and accepting that this is the business that we're in. I'm going to not let that become too personal. I'm not going to let that become too upsetting, because to your point, then everyone would just quit. Because frankly, you know, this industry is not very kind to most people. And I think we kind of tell people like, well, that's showbiz, kid, toughen up, you know, like, but
no,
why?
it's bad. It's bad. It's bad for mental
unnecessary.
health. It's bad for mental health, and that is the bottom line.
So then as people who love the work and love performers, I guess I'm just so fundamentally disturbed and shocked that we just can't be in agreement that anybody able to do anything right now, any work of art, is good enough. And if some executive who's never taken the risks you've taken, never taken the risks I've taken, doesn't have that creative, you know, background or gene, you know, they have another pipeline and guideline that they're going through, and that's fine for that process. But that doesn't then dictate what makes the journey worthwhile and the work worthwhile.
I'm just thinking, because really this conversation started that I was basically saying, don't do low, no budget films, and it's better to be performing on stage. Right. And so I'm just saying, I still think that that taking full control, just you performing on a stage in some capacity, is better than the footage you're going to get, because people waste a lot of time just even auditioning for a low to no budget project. Now, however, that being said, if you know who's doing the load, if they are friends of yours and you trust them, and you've seen the script and you maybe play the lead in that low to no budget film, that might be worth doing. But people are blindly, they're just looking through all the submissions.
Well, they're looking for a job.
And then self-submitting.
They want to work.
That job does not pay anyway. So why do that job?
Because they're told they have to have footage.
Yeah, but it's a crapshoot of if you're going to get good footage. So it wouldn't be better just to go perform and shoot that and then use that as your footage? I think
so. Let's talk about let's talk about that. So as someone who's done both, let's just apples and oranges it, right? I can audition for a short film or a web series or an indie film, right? That takes me an hour, 2 hours. I can then go do that project, which if I'm a beginning actor, I get to come on set for, let's say, 1 day, maybe 2. Right, to be in a couple scenes. So that's a 3-day commitment that I've spent. And yeah, maybe the footage won't look very good, won't be usable. That's a bummer. Like, we've all been there. But as someone who has produced their own work for 20 years, especially on stage, you're talking about at least a 6-week developmental workshop rehearsal process. You're talking about mounting that work and the expense of mounting that work. You're then talking about filming that work, which is an entirely separate production. You're producing first for the stage, then you're producing for the screen, because you need that footage to be good enough. You need the audio to be, you got to be able to hear it. You got to be able to see it. And then you got to edit that workflow, which often requires, you know, some sort of tools, some sort of know-how, some sort of investment. We're very comfortably talking about a 2-month process, at least, to generate your own onstage work that is then communicated to a video layer. And if that doesn't work out, if those clips don't, that's less sustainable than 3 days at a time doing somebody else's passion project, somebody else's one-off that may or may not work out.
Yeah.
Purely from a metric.
but like I said, I've just seen too much bad footage, and it makes me depressed to see
Have
people
you,
have spent that much time,
right,
and how they still can't, like a casting director who casting director who's working on a top show is not going to see that and go like, oh wow, that's great. I've seen too much bad footage, let's just say. And it's just, nobody
okay,
sees the actors access pages except for the casting directors, or the, really, like, it's kind of where that's where I'm at, is that I see a lot of bad footage, and it makes me depressed
right,
about that actor
right,
who just wasted all that time doing it. That's
okay,
all.
and you don't see bad theater?
I try not to. I mean, I've seen, it's hard. Bad theater, even bad theater could be good. I mean, it's just a different medium. What do you
It's
mean
a very,
bad
yeah, but
theater?
well, I think any actor can comfortably say that we've been in some plays that we thought worked out better than others. Right? That's a reasonable understatement, if you will.
Yeah,
I was in a
sure,
fringe
but
I
it's
was in a
still
fringe show
fun.
of it can be fun and it can be fulfilling, but again, that doesn't translate to future work.
But it does
So
to some
that's
people. It does to a lot of people.
you asked me to name a bunch of people who hadn't done stage. I don't know. Can you? And I asked for an anecdote. Who is somebody who has done these small, obscure, back of the house videotape of a storytelling experience that has then gone on to be on a network show? Like from that clip, from that invitation, because I have zero anecdote for that, and I've met and worked
Well,
with thousands of people.
right. It's more the actors we've already talked about that, you know,
That got on Broadway.
that got on Broadway.
That's
Yeah.
You're talking about
I mean,
99.9. You're talking about the Olympics of theater.
right, right. So you're saying,
That's not a
I'm
scalable
sorry.
solution. That's not actionable. I can't get on
Okay.
Broadway. I
All
tried
right.
for 5 years.
Right, right, right. But again, you could
Right.
go. I'm thinking of an Amy Schumer. I'm thinking of a comedian. I don't know if Amy
That's
Schumer. She hasn't been on Broadway, but
no.
but any comedian can go. That's why I think doing open mics is really good, because it's just you telling a
I
story. And Amy
and
Schumer was a theater major, not a theater major, but she was in theater when she was young, and then
right.
she moved to stand up, and that was the greatest thing that ever happened to her. So I think that's a good sort of
I think
transition.
I think we're reverse engineering that argument though. I think picking very famous person who did stand up and that translated to a film career, because most
She did
stand-ups
theater
do
first.
not.
She did theater first. Amy Schumer.
Okay. She did Broadway.
Not professional. No, no, no. She was
She
doing
did New
it in
York.
school. No, no, no. She was
Okay.
doing it in school. The theater
Well,
kids, like
most
the theater kids that are doing it right now, in all these, the Jimmy Awards, all those Jimmy Award
right.
winners, man, they are
Yeah.
all doing Boffo on Broadway right now. It's
All
like,
the Jimmy Award winners. Some of the Jimmy Award winners are on national tours, and some of them are doing regional theater in Nebraska, and some are
right, but they're
making a
all
web series with their
performing.
friend on the Lower East Side.
But I'm just saying, they were theater kids. The theater kids are really the people that we look for, I guess. It's best if you just do theater. It makes you a better performer, and not just auditioning for low to no budget films, because that could make you a worse performer.
Tell
But
me
if
more
you're
about that.
performing all the times, because you
Well,
can get bad habits on a set that is not well run, or you sometimes on the low to no budget, they don't. Sorry, this video is just,
what?
oh my god. Hello everyone. I'm so passionate about what I do, and yet I can't speak because there's too many things inside me trying to express what I mean. So say the question again. What was I talking about?
I mean, we're basically I think your thesis is that The theater kids will be all right.
The theater kids will be all right. Yeah.
And I love that because that's all I ever wanted. But Cathy, that's not true. Theater kids have it worse than anybody.
Well,
Hollywood has spent the last 20 years saying that theater kids are too big. Theater kids can't do film.
But Timothée Chalamet is a theater kid.
He ain't a theater kid. He comes from a theater family.
He went to Wesley. He went to that famous high school in LA.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize my high school theater credits carried a lot of weight around here.
Wait a second. He was doing theater.
He's a movie
That's all
star.
that matters.
So sorry, you're saying that anybody who's ever done theater, that we get to claim them later when they completely divorce themselves from, and we just played a clip of him crapping
He was talking about
all
ballet.
over the live
He was
arts.
just not the.
He's
well,
never
that
done
was
a play on
stupid
Broadway.
mistake.
If anybody could do a play on Broadway right now,
it
it would be Timothée Chalamet. Timothée Chalamet could get a play on Broadway greenlit right now. In fact, he probably should, frankly, because he just
probably it's happening.
Upset
right now.
the whole
We
live
just
arts
don't know
community.
yet.
No, he wants to do Dune 6. That's what he wants to be doing. And great, he should. He should go make a bunch of money making movies. He wants to be a movie star. But I don't want to misattribute the people. And I do think, and I know that it is uncomfortable, but like, I don't want a single theater actor here today to think that I have said, oh, yeah, you'll be fine. Because that is not any of our experience. We have Cathy COON literally saying all she ever wanted to do. She's married to a playwright. She got her break from doing theater. And it took all this time to get back on theater because she had to be on the buzziest show on television. And that's not sustainable. That's not a path. That's not actionable to anybody here today.
Right. But
and yeah, go ahead.
Oh, just not everyone on stage right now is a star. Like she mentioned that you have to be a star to get on. I think that's gone in waves, but I don't think it's like that as much. It's a good mixture right now. Also, she got back on Broadway. I guess it is her Broadway debut by doing Bug, which was a play that was, of course, written by Tracy Letts a million years ago at Steppenwolf. So
yeah, I saw the original production.
She's got a lot of, oh, cool. That play is so good and so messed up. But you know, I mean, there's every story's got this special, like you have to dig deeper with some of these stories, I guess, you know.
But I think all these stories. Go ahead.
Just Carrie Coon really, when she won a Tony for, you know, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and that's really what got her noticed, from my recollection of that. So
sure, but
on stage,
are we
and
not?
That's probably how she got the rest of her work. But anyway,
sure, but I guess I don't know how to be more self-aware that the advice "go win a Tony" isn't really actionable to most people.
Well, of course not. Of course not. That it's never about go win a Tony and then you'll become a star. It's just, if you love performing, if you love playing, then you should do that as much as you can, and not just wait for auditions, and not just troll on Actors Access to see, you know, what other stuff is happening. You should just be performing all the time, and you can make content on you know, Instagram and such. That's fine. I mean, that's also creative, is creating content.
It's just not sustainable, because literally the guy mastering it right now, GIANMARCO SORESI, is telling us that like it's not sustainable.
As far as making a living. Right. So as far as making a living,
well, you have to pay for the content. Content that takes time. That takes
nothing's cheap.
Equipment.
I know. So what should we do? What should somebody do if they're coming up the ranks right now and they want to be an actor? What advice would you tell them?
That's what I'm asking.
Okay, so I guess if there was some person right now who was on here who wanted to be an actor, and I asked them a couple questions, like, so have you done theater? Did you do theater in school? And they say yes, I would go, great. If they said no, I wouldn't want to be a part of that, I was doing football, then I would say no. Because it does feel like, especially for boys, they have to choose between doing sports and doing theater, and a lot of the times they're going to choose the sports.
I was a varsity athlete and a theater kid.
And a theater kid, yeah. And I can tell, you know, so, but yeah, where was I going with that? So I would ask somebody, have you been doing plays? And if they said yes, I would go, that's great. Why, you know, have you taken any acting classes? And you know what, now that I say that, an acting class is when you're performing in a play, like you're rehearsing, because you're rehearsing. So doing a play is really the best thing for any performer to do, whether it's at school, whether it's with your friends, whether it's with small theater in LA, which is still doing honestly great work. Great, you know, the Black Box in LA. Still have friends out there. That's great theater that's happening. And so just, and again, performing on a stage is doing stand-up. So anytime you can be performing in front of an audience, you should be doing it, whatever that is.
Okay, so if you then saw that on a resume, on a grainy phone clip from the back of a theater, that to you is elevated to the echelons of being able to pursue a professional career?
Well, you're talking about it as being the worst video. You're not talking about it as being a clear video, and maybe someone is seen clearly and they're still moving.
Because I'm using that because your example of an independent film was that the footage was not very good. And while we can
not all of it, but a lot of it.
We can certainly argue that the footage is not as cinematic as it could be, but I guarantee you that it is as good as a phone video from the back of a theater that is not lit for cameras, it's lit for stage, right?
Okay.
Like the room ambience and, you know,
all right.
a microphone booming.
We're going to do another one of these, and I'm going to make you watch just a bunch of footage from when I look at an Actors Access page. I want you to watch with me the footage that I see and how I cannot say, I can't tell if you're good enough in this clip. Or it's,
Isn't that what the audition's for?
Eyes. What? Isn't that what?
But isn't that what the audition's for?
But I'm not going to choose you. I'm not going to, because then the next step. So I watch your demo reel and then I say, oh, right. I like them. That's really good acting. And then I will say, okay, but here's the sides. Please make a self tape.
Yes, but Cathy, you're not seeing someone's good acting from a stand-up comedy clip. You're seeing them do good stand-up comedy. You're seeing them do good stand-up comedy.
If they had a clip
it's an entirely different medium.
But if they had a good clip of their stand-up in the Actors Access, I would prefer that over some of the other footage I've watched, which is not good at all. I can't even tell if they're a good actor.
So again, what I'm coming back to is we're telling performers, don't pursue indie films, don't troll on Actors Access, don't submit for that work. It's a waste of time. Just be on stage and take these clips of your stage work. And I'm saying, when your video has 3,000 views on it, when 3,000 actors, or the next, you know, actors of our generation, the next Carrie COON watches that clip and says, great, I'm going to cancel my Actors Access subscription. I'm going to stop doing short films. I'm not going to pursue that path because I have heard from this credible, experienced casting director who does a consulting business that the way forward is for me to get on stage and take these phone videos. How does that translate? You're telling me that that's going to win the day. And again, I'm nervous that person is not going to be considered by casting, and they're not going to be considered by executives off of that footage.
But we don't know again, I'm looking at bad footage a lot. And there's not that many people that are doing that. Other casting directors are doing that, and probably agents. And agents need good footage too, to be able to pitch their new actor, right? So you always need good footage. So good footage is good footage, whatever it comes from. I've just seen, because when I do my career consultation, I will go over everybody's videos. And most of them are not good. And that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing.
Okay.
I can't change that.
No, neither can I. But I guess what I can't change is the fact that I have multi-million-dollar films and network TV shows in my Actors Access. And those credits aren't moving the needle either. And that footage isn't moving the needle either. So
well, then,
I would speak to that.
then it's even more of a crapshoot than I thought it was out there. You know, performers, again, if you love it and can't live without it, you have to keep doing it. And if you're just doing it for the money, it's probably not a good idea. It's probably not a good idea to just do it for the money, because that's a long haul. You might never get there. But if you love performing, then at least you're in joy of you're feeling joy at some point.
Sure, but I don't need to move to New York or LA or Chicago or Atlanta to do that. There's
there was a time when you
incredible,
had to, but not, yeah.
If you, well, in this binary that you're describing, if I just want to feel joy, you know, I produced my first play in high school in North Carolina. I could just have kept doing that.
Yeah. And then gone to New
that's
York.
not
Did you go to New York?
I went to NYU.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I founded the Innovation Lab at NYU. And then I stayed there for 5 years producing off-Broadway, off-Broadway, and then doing regional theater. But I ultimately I couldn't be an understudy on Broadway because I didn't have enough TV credits.
But that was what years was that?
That was 2008.
Yeah, I mean, things do change, but yeah, that's too bad.
Things change, but I think Carrie Coon would affirm that that is still true today.
Carrie Coon is in her own category. Carrie Coon she's in her own category.
I think that the majority of the Broadway community would agree with the fact that it's very, very difficult to, look, Broadway doesn't pay very well. It's a good job, but it's not comparable to living in Manhattan. It doesn't keep up with cost of living.
You need to do network TV. Doing network TV is where it always was, where you'd make the most money.
But there isn't that path anymore.
But there isn't, right? And so that's what makes it so diabolical right now. It's almost the Stone Age. It's like you have to just do it because you love doing it and not because you're going to make a living, which is not good at all.
Right, but then if I'm doing it and I can't make a living, then I don't have any money to rent space. I don't have any money to film this stuff. I don't have any money to hire coaches and consultants and classes. Right? We are talking about a full hobbyist environment.
Right. Yeah, or you have to just have a lot of money. You just have to come from money.
Well, I don't think we can count that, which is a Timothée Chalamet point as well. But I don't think that we can just say, well, the answer is to be born rich, because that's, again, not actionable.
Right. But the finances is a big thing, and and here I am, having trouble with finances. So, and gave my whole life, but
But so can we just end on that then to wrap that up? Is I think that, like, I have such empathy for your story and your journey, and such admiration for everything that you have built and have done. And it's why I responded to you wanting me to be in your own pilot, is the idea that you were seizing the reins yourself, doing the work. Here you are, moving to a new city, discovering a new market, trying to make ends meet doing that. And I guess living that experience and walking that path yourself, don't you then have the empathy and the admiration for everybody else doing it, no matter how bad the footage was? Like, I'm not judging your camera quality right now while we talk about this. I'm going, let me listen to her story and try to find the value in it. And so I guess I'm confused why someone who is a professional in that community and in that environment doesn't have that same scope of knowledge and scope of practice to extend that generosity, to extend that understanding that they can see inside of the bad footage, inside of the weird clip, inside of the bad audio quality, to get to the talent.
You also, I haven't talked at all about how many submissions we get for one role. Okay. We get 1,500 submissions for one role. So when we are looking through your materials, we are going through them fast. And that is another big problem, is that the pipeline is oversaturated. And so we are going through this very quickly. So if we turn on your demo reel and you don't move us within 3 seconds, we are going to move on to the next account that we want to look at. So And that's something I don't like talking about because that is freaking depressing for actors to know that.
Right.
But that is the reality.
Great. But so I find that while it's depressing, I don't think you're shielding us from that. You're not speaking it into existence, right? You're informing us that this is the way you've had to course correct for this environment. But we then need that good guidance and that information in order to navigate it ourselves. Because
that's what I'm doing is giving people suggestions to how to make their videos better.
Right, but my concern is you're not telling anyone how, in this video at least, and in some of the other videos I've seen, you haven't told anyone how to make their video better. You've told them that there are entire pathways they should not be pursuing, and they happen to be the pathways that often are the things in between the Broadway credit and the big tentpole movie, or the waiting tables and the doing clowning classes and the, you know, international sensation. There are these smaller steps in between that are less glamorous, that don't look great and often don't work out, but are the work that actors have access to do. They are the smaller projects they can take on.
Yeah, but I think there's too many people making those smaller. I really do.
So people shouldn't be allowed to make art?
Of course, everybody. But it's kind of like there's a lot of actors that are in the pipeline that are just not going to be good enough for whatever reasons. They're just not going to be good enough. And there's some filmmakers, you know, there's a lot of filmmakers in the pipeline that are just not good enough, but they're still making films. And again, I have seen so much footage that is just not compelling. And when an actor watches that footage that they waited months for, after having been on the set that might not be very well managed, after they see it, that is friggin' sad. And that happens a lot.
It does. I guess, I hope the best thing that I can conclude from today's conversation is that I do not think that that is exclusive to independent film. There are bad network TV experiences. There are bad, you know, multi-million-dollar feature film experiences. There are bad theater experiences. And I think we're all trying to figure out compassionately with each other, how do we sparkle in the world today to show up for ourselves and show up for the audience, to be seen, to be received.
Yeah.
And I guess I worry that a lot of what I've taken away today is to not show up, to not be received, and that someone else will basically decide whether or not you have the money or the resources or the access or the predetermined acceptance to be a storyteller, to be a creator.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I promote people to tell their own stories. That's the main thing I'm doing right now. And again, I've seen so much bad footage. Do what you will with that information. I'm not.
Well, we're having a conversation
anymore.
about it.
Well, I don't.
But what do you mean you're not in power anymore?
I mean, I'm not casting a big show. So that's where I had.
So then how are you going to be able to
bring someone in that I saw perform live on stage, or that I saw perform live on stage, that I got excited about it. Like casting people have to be very excited about someone to bring them to the top honcho,
right.
Whatever.
But you're not in a position of power currently to bring someone into that network show, but you're then telling people that all that matters is for them to be brought into that network television show.
Right, so and the way to do that is creating your own content, and to make a one-person show, to be doing stand-up, to be performing live. That's all I'm saying. Performing live.
But where is the data to back that up? Because you're telling me that you don't, even if someone made the most brilliant, if the next Phoebe Waller-Bridges made the next Fleabag with your consulting community right now, you do not have the ability to then get them elevated and seen to get a network TV show. So
they will
how
be
does
seen
that
if they
pipeline
win
happen?
in Fringe. But you're saying you were at Fringe.
If they win in Fringe,
Yeah.
I know several actors that have won
Yeah.
Fringe.
Yeah.
They didn't get a network TV show.
Right.
I know several actors on Broadway who didn't get a network TV show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know actors who've won Tonys who didn't get a TV show.
So where are we going to leave people with? We're going to leave people depressed. So what should we do? What should we do with that?
It is not my intention to leave anybody depressed. It was my intention to explore. I felt like there must be advice under the advice, because the advice cannot be that you just show up on stage and if you are good enough, you will be discovered, because this industry has never been a meritocracy. And this industry has never been a star is born overnight. We've joked for years that a star is born over 20 years, right? It's all the stuff behind the scenes. It's all the small little things. Bryan Cranston was only on Breaking Bad because of a table read he did.
Well, he was also
and that
doing.
launched.
Wait a second. No, he was in the sitcom.
He was in Malcolm. Yes, he was.
Malcolm.
You're absolutely right.
He
was the dad on Malcolm.
He was already a star.
Whoa! Not if you ask him. Not if you ask him.
Well,
he was a television jobber that had a good career that he was very satisfied with, but he couldn't do movies. He couldn't cross over. He couldn't break in. He couldn't do drama. No one saw him that way.
Okay, well, he did, and then he's a good actor. He's a good actor in whatever he is doing. So
he did a free table read. But
he also was a big movie. But he was a TV star. He was a TV star, so of course he's going to have added cachet.
So, okay, we're trying not to depress people. So help leave me. You know my resume. You know my career. I've got the footage. I've got the talent. I've got that. Like, there's just no question. I got the goods here, and I'm doing my own work. I'm doing the stuff. I'm performing live. What's the advice? How does this? I don't have a Tony. I'm not on Broadway. I'm not a TV star. So, what's that next? How do we jump the gap? What's the actionable advice? Is it to stop self-submitting? Is it to stop doing self-tapes?
But you're not doing indie films? Do you self-submit on Actors Access?
Every single day.
Do you have an agent?
Yes.
Well, isn't your agent getting you work?
They get me some work.
Okay.
50% of my opportunities come from me. I have to make 50% of my opportunities.
Okay.
I then have I have a theatrical agent, I have a commercial agent, I have a voiceover agent, I have a manager. If I just sat around and waited, I wouldn't be able to put food on the table.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to make enough roles.
Yeah. I feel like I think you should think out of the box as far as your acting career, I guess, right now. I mean, you have good, you're making money, so that's good. You almost need to think out of the box.
Like which? Which box? I've broken out of every box. I've invented whole boxes.
Then I don't know. I mean, then you should write a one-person show about your journey to get to nowhere. It should be called Journey to Nowhere, where you have done everything that you were told to do, and you're a really good performer, and all the stuff that you've done, and you still don't have your network show. I would use that as a story right there, as a one-person show. I bet it would. I mean, honestly, I'm not joking, because it's fascinating. Your story is really fascinating because you are really good. You should have had your series already.
But
you're better than Timothee Chalamet.
But aren't we just telling everybody that then, go home, kid, it doesn't work?
We're telling them that anyway, because that's how it is. It's so uncertain. And that something breaks out, like somebody has a breakout. Like this Kinnick. What's this new play that's on Broadway? It's a one-person show that just won an Olivier. You just never know. Like, somebody will show up and they have this incredible show that they've created, and they get a Tony or an Olivier.
Yeah, but I I think that's very dismissive of the process that it took to get there. It cost $5 million to put a show on Broadway. You don't just show up and have $5 million.
No. This is a produced show that sorry, I don't know enough about the show. I should.
Right, but I'm saying that person isn't a me that made a one-person show that they put on Broadway.
Right, because they find you in the smaller theaters. You have to do it in the smaller theaters in New York, basically. The Cherry Lane is really big right now on doing new shows.
Right.
There's just places to do. There's this place called the KGB Bar where you can go do open mic and you can make videos doing that, and those are great videos. And I mean, there's so many places in New York to go perform and open mics and stuff.
Absolutely. There always were. I don't personally, and I'm obsessed with this. I want this to be true. I don't have any anecdotes of somebody who was doing that, who then got that Broadway show or got that tour or got that Netflix deal. That connective tissue. It's not that it isn't there. It's just there are steps in between that were the thing that got the thing.
Right.
And I worry about advising a generation of people to not pursue the connective tissue, the things in between the things.
So you're saying it's best if people submit for low to no budget projects. You're saying that's really the way to go.
I'm saying that you can't tell me a performer that took a clip of a storytelling experience and got a network TV show, but I am an actor who took a clip of an independent film and has continued to book network TV shows. So these opinions are not in alignment with each other, and I'm just trying to understand where the discrepancy is.
I don't know. It feels like I should have made a better list of people that went from, like I said, you make a list of the actors you admire. They were found on a stage, and I stand by that.
Okay. So the list of actors that I gave you that I admire that weren't found on a stage, what's the difference in that story?
What are some of the names you gave me?
You got Michael B. Jordan. I think we've all heard of him.
Yeah. Now, Michael B. Jordan, I don't know his backstory. I think he might have done theater.
He went to USC.
Yeah. So yeah, right. And he
Went to a
met
film
Ryan
school.
Coogler. Right. And Ryan Coogler
Yes,
was a student during that time.
At USC and they did a student film together.
Yeah. He did
called
a student
Fruitvale
film
Station.
together. Right. Exactly. So
sorry, if he hadn't done Fruitvale Station, we wouldn't know who Michael B. Jordan is.
Right, because he happened to meet Ryan Coogler, happened to be at USC at that time, where he wrote his first screenplay. But Michael B. Was he a theater major at USC, or that I do not know. Do you know?
He was an acting major. USC has less of a, but USC again. I don't want us to overuse the word theater, because USC's program is much more of a hybrid program than most programs in the country.
Yeah,
because it's in
I
Los
know
Angeles.
that program. Yeah, I know that program, and I only knew about Ryan Coogler because I worked casting short films that all the master's thesis folks were doing. So I know that program really, really well, and I've seen a lot of shows at USC. So so then basically, Michael B. Jordan was found on a stage at USC. Basically,
what?
He was an acting major.
How is that being found on a stage?
Because he was doing theater. He was in the program, and then I don't know exactly how Ryan Coogler found him, but they were at school together. I mean, that was kind of a kismet kind of meeting.
Okay. So I don't know that we're going to come into alignment here, and that's okay. I think then I want to be very clear, leaving this conversation today, that I come from theater. I love theater, but I won't want any revisionist history of my career. And if I ever hit big, if it was because I was on stage, great, I was found on a stage. But reverse engineering back to my roots to say, at one point in time, I did theater. I don't think is ultimately in alignment with the advice that we're giving here today. And I don't think that it is the path that you're suggesting that it is.
I'm just suggesting people perform on stages however they can.
Because for the joy of it. You're saying it doesn't result in
well, you have to
career
love
aspirations.
it to do it. But
Right.
because if you're good at it, then you will either get some traction or you won't. But again, not every actor gets traction. So
that's true. But I don't think it's because they did or didn't do theater, and I don't think it's because they did or didn't do an indie film.
yeah, I disagree with. I think it depends, because there's and I even put in the video. There's so many types of indie films. There's the independent films that go to Sundance, and then there's the smaller, not the smaller stuff, but the not as. There's some stuff that doesn't go anywhere. And so it's too many things in that container to really know what would be a good thing to self-submit to. So
so I hear that, and so look, I will leave today having been challenged with this position, and I hope that we'll continue discussing it on and offline. I would challenge you, because I don't hear in this conversation that you are going to a lot of diverse types of theater, because there is a lot of theater that goes nowhere or isn't, quantified in the same way. There's a lot of theater in the same way that you're putting those brackets around independent film.
Yeah,
and
it's still better than going.
Then I think you know what your next video is about. I think you should make a series on actual case studies of really fringe, really lo-fi theater, really lo-fi clips that most people would swipe past, and demonstrate how those are going to be elevated to the network television level to get these people the careers that matter.
Okay,
in
well, I'm going to
accordance
get
with
my
your
daughter.
words.
I'm going to get my daughter on the scene, because she will already have a list of all those theaters and all the people. Her mind is younger than my mind is, and my mind is too full of stuff. So I will get you that information. But the child that I brought to theater when they were 3, she will help me out with this, because she'll be able to answer exactly what you just said. It's still better to see live theater. So,
and I guess what's difficult for me as we wrap this up is that you and I don't disagree about the fact that we both love live theater. I saw a fringe play yesterday.
Was it
the play?
Great?
What?
No, I just said great. That's all.
Yes, but I don't have any belief that that play is going to matter on their resume or in a clip or move the needle on their career. I think it will be the thing that they did, hoping the right person might see it, or it might lead to the next thing, or it might open up a relationship that then 10 years from now might lead to the actual opportunity where something happens.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they would then want someone to go, well, because you did that Friends show, that's why you're here, kid. I don't know that that's representative of the journey. And so I'm glad we were able to talk about it.
But also, people casting directors just follow that stuff for years and years. That's all we know, because our whole focus is finding good talent, right? And so, but as an actor's perspective is very different. You're not going to see all this stuff and remembering people and remember where they came from. It's just different, your perspective of this.
Yes. And that's the conversation.
Okay, there you go.
That I hoped we would have, because let's leave it with this. You believe that there is this catalog occurring in the background as you go see art, that you will remember these people and that will be beneficial to them long term. Actors are doing this work because they believe that will be true as well. There is a long period of time in between where we are not in relationship with casting. We do not meet you. We do not talk to you. You do not tell us that you like our work. We do not know that we are on your radar. And that is when most actors give up. So to me, the greatest advice you could give an actor is, let's figure out how to be in better relationship. When the next play you go see in some crappy basement, Cathy, you should find that actor on Instagram and you should write them a nice little note.
I do.
The fact that I can do this to every short film I see, every film festival I go to, every YouTube video that catches my eye. There's a kid who's blowing up, making fun of casting directors right now on Instagram, and I've written him an email just to say, like, I know you're getting a lot of guff for this, but it's very funny and you're very good at this type of media. You should keep going. The fact that I have never received a letter like that directly from a casting director in 20 years. I think we're just entering a new space where if we want this symbiotic thing to keep going, I know that we all have to answer to the decision makers upstairs, but our relationship belongs to us. And the way to preserve that is to be in dialogue with each other.
Yes,
and I think that for a long time,
that's true.
Casting felt like they needed to put a barrier because, oh no, I don't want actors to bother me. If you don't want actors to bother you, then you can't punch down when they go to the opportunities that they can get. Otherwise, let's be in dialogue so we get that affirmation of like, oh, cool, I did that play. This person came and saw it. I'm on their radar now. Now I can send them a postcard or an email or an Instagram DM the next time I'm in a play and say, hey, you saw me in this play, come again. We might begin to rebuild some of this relationship.
Yeah, because you're right. It was like that way, way back where
it was.
You know, there was more of and because there was a room, because there was an audition room. And I still contend that was the killer of everything, is having everything online and self-taping. Because first of all, you needed to be in the room with the actors so you could help. A lot of actors don't know the style of the piece that they're auditioning for, so you would direct them. You know, it's called casting director, which is why I became one, because I directed a lot of plays when I was at UCLA, and I love directing actors. So that was the part of my job I loved, is to help actors get that work by giving them good notes. And then we would go to producers and then they would get chosen live. But when that all went away, it has really killed a lot of that. And yeah, I will leave with that, because that is the death of really the actor. Now that I'm really talking about this, that's the death of the relationship between the actor and the casting director. I think
we would all agree with that. And so I understand that you are not currently actively casting something. It's my understanding that you aspire to get on your next show or be on your next project. So then what will you be taking into your next casting experience to be able to action this advice that you're giving people? What can actors hope to do to get on your radar for the next project?
Be in a play and do stand-up.
Do they invite you? Do they contact you? Will you go? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I used to go, you know, when I was in LA, I went to comedy stores all the time. I saw Trevor Noah at the first time he did comedy at the Comedy Store. I happened to go in there and it was this guy named Trevor Noah. So I was always scouting for talent. That's what I did. Mm-hmm. But
and the scouting for talent today happens in the theater.
Yeah, anything with a stage.
Okay.
To say. Yeah, right. And that's what I would do if I got a show tomorrow. That's what I would do. Well, first of all, I'm already seeing theater in New York, so I would go back to my playbill and look, you know, and I would, you know, have my playbill and I would notate the people I really loved, and like Lost Boys, like all the Lost Boys. Hello, Lost Boys. They're going to be on a TV show next season. Sorry.
Okay. No, it's fine. It's just I don't know how to action somebody. Hey, kid, just get on Broadway. But I guess that's the advice.
It's the same as
be on Broadway
get on
and
a network TV,
be on Broadway, and Cathy Reinking will audition you for a short film. That's the advice, I guess. I don't think it lines up with what you're telling us. I don't know why they would accept that short film. I don't know why they would audition for that short film, because those are credits that don't matter. I think the footage would be bad. Sounds like that would defeat the entire point.
If I was working on a network show, then I would bring in the actors I like that I had just seen on a stage. That's the bottom line. So that's it.
Okay. Well, I really do appreciate you coming on and having the conversation today. I know you've got a panel to get to, or a
yes, I have another Zoom, because that's my life and I hate Zoom, but I'd rather do it in person.
Great. Well, I really do appreciate you having this conversation today. And
oh, well, that's going to be the
about
end of
this
my
perspective.
career. I'm going to get so much shit from the other. Am I still live? Is it still on?
Yeah, we're still live. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Go
Don't
for
leave
it.
that in. Oh my God. No.
I can't take it out. It's live. What are you going to get shit for?
Oh, from all the acting coaches that sometimes stitch me, they're going to stitch me like crazy.
Well,
So-
here's your opportunity. Well, before you go, you take the last 60 seconds. Like, you're saying things that you believe in, so why would it be so easily rebuttable?
I don't know. They just have a way of doing it. They have a way of stitching it, and
But why
and
would
it's
their
not
advice be
kind.
so
It's
different
not
from
kind.
yours?
Because it's competition.
Competition for what, though?
Acting coaches, there's a lot of competition between the acting coaches.
But none of these actors have any money. What are we competing for?
That's true. That's why.
And none
Good
of you
point.
are offering
Good
them
point.
jobs. So what are we competing for?
That's a good point. I feel better. Thank you.
But I'm genuinely curious. Like, what?
No, I'm saying
help me. I don't know about this whole competitive. I would assume that the casting community supports each other, and the
No,
coaching
I'm talking
community
about
supports
coaches.
each other.
I'm talking about acting coaches that weren't necessarily. Well, I guess most of them were casting at some point. Yeah. So. Yeah.
So I guess why would that community not be in more generous collaboration with each other?
You got to ask them. You got to ask them. It's cutthroat. It's cutthroat. So.
Do you think that some of that culture is what's pervasive and leaking into the relationship with talent? Is that it is seen in this more competitive transactional nature rather than this industrial, we are growing and discovering and scouting each other and being aware of each other?
Probably. That sounds good. Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds good. No, I mean, this could help a lot of people.
Well, I am grateful
I know
to you
that
coming
I'll get
on.
a free ticket to Lost Boys. Hey, Lost Boys, please, I'd like to come and see the show again. It was so amazing.
But go see something different. Go see something smaller. Go see the theaters that the actor had to rent for themselves for their one-person show.
I do. I go to Cherry Lane. I go to a lot of theaters.
Cherry Lane doesn't count.
It's a nice thing.
It's a beautiful theater. It's an incredible space. I know because it's one of the nicest spaces I was able to perform in New York because it was aspirational. But that's not fringe theater. That's not lo-fi
No, you're right.
theater.
But I do go to
That's
KGB.
not one-person shows.
Okay. But you're right. There's the KGB bar. It's a Ukrainian bar. You have to go up 3 flights of stairs. And I've gone there several times, and I've performed. I've read my stories, and that's a great place to go. I'll promote KGB bar.
Okay.
Okay. I go see all kinds of theater. So.
All right.
All right. Goodbye. So are you gonna? How do we end this?
What we can sign off, and I'll hit the end stream button. So I'll just say, I do appreciate Cathy Reinking for coming and having this conversation. I know it is not comfortable or easy to have live conversations, especially about topics that we don't agree on. But I hope the takeaway is that there are many different paths, many different perspectives, and that we are all trying to figure out what to do in this industry that we love and that we just want to see a future in.
That is true. That is very, very